How is that for you, for example, now going to the corporates, also like from your background, from the Cape Flats, and then kind of like talking with these guys there? Like, did you still experience some kind of an imposter, or like were you already quite confident?
I don't think I get imposter syndrome talking to customers
because
main thing is I come in and I say, I'm not coming here to impress you. I'm coming in here to understand your needs. So I don't get imposter syndrome because the roles are flipped now. I need to come in there not thinking I'm the best thing in the world. I'm giving you the best service. I'm coming in there to understand, can I fulfill your needs? So I come into the first engagement will be, what are your current problems? So I can see, is there a fit between what your needs are and what my company provides? If there isn't, hearties, that's the word we use in the Cape Flats. It's not going to work. Hearties. But mostly we find a way to make it work. We chat to a client, and also I'm not going to waste anyone's time by setting up meetings if I know this is not the client I want to serve. And I feel like there's a three ways of thinking that I've learned. There's your survival way of thinking, there's your emotional way of thinking, and there's your executive way of thinking. And these two ways of thinking has a very different kind of impact. If you act on survival, it's fast, it's erratic, it's kill or be killed. If you act on emotion when a problem comes to you, it's not always the best solution, but the most emotional solution because of how you're feeling. If you think executively, you think, what is best, not for me, but what is best for all of us? As a company, as partners, what's the win-win situation? So when you're faced with something difficult, maybe just stop first and think, how am I thinking? Am I in survival mode? Am I in emotional mode? Or am I thinking like an executive? And that's how you can solve which clients you should have, not have, who you should work with and not work with.
Welcome to Founder Real Talk. Honest conversations about what it really takes to be a founder. And before we start the show, hit subscribe to stay tuned.
Welcome to another episode of Founder Real Talk. Today I've got Jamie with me, a South African award-winning entrepreneur. Just won another one yesterday. Congrats again. And you're also the co-founder and CXO of Loop. So warm welcome on my side.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, probably to get going or to get started, maybe you like jump right in, can give us a short 1 minute elevator pitch what Loop is all about, because you're the best person to share what it is. And then I would love to dive into how it all started and why. Yes.
So Loop is amazing, guys. I'm not just saying that because I work here, but we've created a system where you can do payments via WhatsApp, no need for an app, with no bank charges and instant payments. We started doing this for the minibus taxis.
Yeah.
And from there, when more people started realizing that it can work in an ecosystem, either as a market or as a vendor, or even just a normal person that wants to start their own business, they can just use their cell phone with WhatsApp and start receiving payments.
Wow, that's how easy it is. Amazing. And you started here in Cape Town, right? That's where you first launched it. Yeah.
So both Imtiaz and I are from the Cape Flats. Imtiaz is the founder of Loop and the CEO, and I'm the co-founder and CEO. And the story behind this was when Imtiaz came to me, it was probably about 4 years ago now. And he told me the story of what happens with his dad. His father was a taxi driver. His father passed away, unfortunately. But he will tell me in the morning, his father will call him around 9 o'clock in the morning and say, can you, and his father will pull up with a taxi full of people and hand him a bag of money and tell him, come put this money in the cupboard in the house. And his concern was not just his father, but a lot of taxis have to do this because they're driving through kind of unsafe areas. And often they stop, and if anything happens, they lose all that money for the day because they won't need cash. And he was wondering, why are we still using cash in today's times? Like, we have all these different electronic payment methods. And the very strange thing is most of the customers that are using taxis are going to work, and their work is paid into their bank account. But if you go to the station, there's long lines at the ATM. People have to draw the money out of the ATM when they get paid to pay the taxis. I always thought, but taxis want the cash, man. They're trying to avoid tax. Cash is easy to do. Until I went to go ask the questions on the ground to understand, why are you not using digital payments? Why are you not using the banks? And it's not because of tax avoidance or because cash is easier to work or cash is the best thing to work with. It is a case of, with cash, if I pay the taxi driver right now, They receive the cash right now. They can spend the cash right now. There's no bank charges in between. There's no nothing. If I give a 10 Rand, you get the whole 10 Rand. And the
Yeah.
taxi driver, they need the money right now because they have to go put in fuel today. They have to pay their boss at the end of the day, and they have to buy food for themselves that same
Yeah.
day. So if you think about it and say, if you use the banks, if a customer pays you, you have to wait sometimes 2 days for that money. There's
Sure.
also a bank charge. So
Yeah.
who pays the bank charge? The customer that's still even trying to get by just to go to work, because transport counts as one of the biggest expense when it comes to your salary. Most goes to transport. Then the other thing is, if it's not the customer paying, does the driver have to pay? But then they might as well just use cash.
Yeah.
Then the other side is waiting for your money. Any business, no matter how rich or how fantastic your business is doing, you don't want to wait for your money. So how
No.
do you expect that for a taxi driver, where if they do not have fuel today, their business is gone? They can't wait for 2 days for money for fuel. So once we understood that environment, then we realized, but the problem here isn't about digital or cash. The problem here is like what makes sense. And we took a step back and said, okay, if we're going to solve in the space, we can't use traditional banking rails. We actually need to make a payment rail that is instant payments without the bank charge. Then we
Yeah.
said, okay, do we build an app? Everyone says, I want an app for this, I want an app for that. App is the big word. Now AI is the big word, but app was the big word. Like everyone wants an app. And I said,
Yeah.
before we even look at building an app, we need to understand who's going to use this. And when we interviewed the users, which were the taxi commuters, the taxi drivers, the taxi bosses, we asked them, what apps do you actually use? Why do you use it? What apps do you delete? What apps do you keep? And across the board, it was a case of, we need to have WhatsApp, whether it's communicating back home to say, pick the kids up from creche, communicating to say, I'm about to get off the taxi, please look out for me, it might be unsafe. They're all our customers we interviewed had WhatsApp. But
Yeah.
then there was other sentiment regarding apps. Some
Yeah.
customers even said they don't have space for their phones for apps. They'll delete their banking app. When their WhatsApp says full, they delete the banking app. So if we had to come in and build another payments app, our customers are not going to want to have it on their devices. But we realized they all have WhatsApp. So what if we just built the payment rails
Yeah.
and use WhatsApp as the interface? Problem solved. No need to educate our customers on download this thing. No need to pay for advertising of the app. All you do is we plug it in a taxi and say, pay via WhatsApp. And that's how it works. So it cut down a lot of red tape. It increased our growth exponentially because we didn't have them to have to download something new. They already had WhatsApp on their phones.
Okay.
It
Wow.
made it much easier for us to do the work. And then from there, two cool things happened to the business. The customers started using WhatsApp to pay the taxi drivers. They would load funds like buying a digital bus ticket onto their WhatsApp and make the payments to the taxi driver. When people come with cash, the taxi driver can put change onto their WhatsApp. And so you don't have to fight with the taxi driver with change anymore. So the driver also doesn't have to have cash to give you change. Because of that system, the customers inside the taxis were asking us, hey, if I can pay the driver like this, can people pay my business like this as well? And then we realized the truth is nobody wants to wait for the money. Nobody likes bank charges. Let's open up the ecosystem. So we started onboarding vendors. We started onboarding small shops to utilize the WhatsApp payment system. When it's in the system, there's no bank charges when money's moving around. We then started onboarding suppliers as well. So you can now pay from end to end in a closed loop ecosystem, from your commuter to your driver to paying for food, for the food paying for their suppliers. That happened. That's great. That's still happening right now.
Wow.
Then the next big thing that happened,
Yes.
because the taxi driver could start accepting digital payments, the corporates got involved and said, hey, we have to pay off transport money. We have to disperse these funds. Could we just use your system to do it?
Yes.
So now we have corporates that's paying for staff transport, utilizing the existing taxi network that they could never have access to before because you wouldn't pay a taxi driver cash as a corporate. Now you're paying Loop as a facilitator. We check that the vehicle has all the permits, PDP, charter permit, route permits. We inspect the vehicles. We check the driver is all safe. And we become the authority to make sure that everything within the ecosystem is in good standing for a corporate to work with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is fantastic because for us in Cape Town, the BPO sector is booming.
It is.
And now that the BPO sector needs a reliable transit partner, instead of buying their own vehicles that's only going to operate a few times a day, we're using the existing taxi network that's already there. And the thing, taxis, in the evenings, the taxi goes to go park and go sleep. But now with Loop, that taxi is making more earnings all through the night. The taxi industry is loving this because they're getting way more work. They don't have to look for customers. Our system sorts out who goes where. We group up people accordingly for the clients. That all works out. They're getting more money. I can even mention since we started, we've paid out over 100 million rand to the taxi industry in services.
Wow.
So that would have been money that would have gone to a private service instead. The other nice thing about our taxi services is the way our software works in mobility is we sort out. This is what happened with us, because that sounds like, oh, we're doing payments or mobility.
Yeah.
We go according to what the customer's needs are. When the corporate clients got on board and they started asking us to do these services, we then realized there's in the existing service delivery that we can solve with technology. So all a corporate does is they give us the list of everyone's addresses. They tell us what time everyone's going to be leaving work and where they must be, and we assign the correct vehicle to do the correct trip. This solves things in the taxi industry, because when we started this business, there was a lot of fights going on in the taxi industry, people taking routes, the strikes was happening, and we realized they wouldn't be fighting unless there was a reason to fight. And people just think they'll fight because of egos and whatever. But the truth is, there's validity in why they're upset. And I think maybe from the user experience side, if you understand people's behavior and why they feel in a certain way, you can solve for it. The taxis were complaining that certain people are infringing on certain routes. So we realized with our system, if you a call center and you have to send people to Mitchell's Plain, we'll use Mitchell's Plain drivers to go to Mitchell's Plain. If you need to go to the Noon, if you need to go to Kalicha, if you need to go to Guguletu, if you're going to Goodwood, whatever, we use the appropriate drivers to do the appropriate trips.
Yes.
And they're like, this is a freaking no-brainer. Why is no one doing this before?
Wow.
It just makes sense. It's reducing the violence. It's making people happy. The right people are getting paid. Like, couldn't people just talk to each other, figure out what the problem is, and like say, okay, let's just go for it and solve it? And that's what we're doing. And I think we say Loop is a tech company, but I really feel like Loop is a solutions company. We understand what the customer's needs are, especially in the emerging market and in corporates. And we look at what are we actually going to do about it. And I'm saying it loosely, but we actually have a formula of how we tackle problems. What I'm going to say, problems, it's actually all opportunities. And when somebody comes through from a client or from a user and they say, hey, I want to do this, or can you guys do this for me? Engage it and say, okay, do we actually want to do that? Like, is this something that's part of our interest?
Yes.
Look at, is there a financial opportunity? Because we're not a charity, we also run the business. How do we also make money out of the solution if you do build it? Then we look at, do we have the skill and capacity to actually do this? Or do we need to outsource? Do we need to find other people? Do we need to make new hires? And then the last thing is, do we have the time? And how long will it take? So we put these things down on the Excel sheet and we put all the opportunities down and we give each of them a score and we start off with the highest score first. And that is such a great way for us to work, because when we started this business, opportunities were flowing. And as entrepreneurs, I think any entrepreneur knows when an opportunity hits, we're like, yes, let's go.
Saying no. Yeah. Oof.
You end up working yourself, you end up burning out, you end up not having capacity because you're saying yes to every single thing because you can see the vision, but you need to be realistic in a space. It will just be a case of how do you properly plan to know that you can't satisfy everybody right now, but how do I work it that I maintain my team, that no one really has burnout, we understand the needs, and we have a formula to work out what we're going to be doing. And that's what we've done at Loop. And that's, I think, has been one of our key things to our growth, because a lot of startups or a lot of businesses end up failing. And it's not because the ideas are bad or because the people are bad or whatever, but it's just about how the business is managed, how the money is managed, and how the time is managed.
Yeah. So how would you, or what would you recommend someone who would approach you also maybe from the Cape Flats? And by the way, maybe you can explain it, what that area is, so the listeners know, maybe some don't know, because I think it's important, because it's not too easy, I guess, especially in that kind of environment. But what would you recommend them to get going or to get started with their idea? I mean, how did you even start? Like, did you have funding, or how did you manage? Because it's...
Okay, let me go for this. So I'm going to first start with the definition of the Cape Flats.
Okay.
Cape Flats has been notorious as a gangster area, you know? And I'm gonna maybe just sound dumb here, but when I was younger, I thought Cape Flats was a place where there was a lot of apartments.
Or because of flats. Yes.
We call it the park and the flat. And then I realized the reason it's called the Cape Flats is because the Western Cape is built in a basin.
Yes.
We have the mountains around it, and we have the valleys on the sides, and in the middle is a flat part of land,
Yeah.
and the very flat. So if you're in the Cape Flats, you can see the hills on the sides. Everything is flat, and that's why it's called the Cape Flats. Okay? But the thing about the Cape Flats, when apartheid happened, the Cape Flats wasn't the most fertile land. The Cape Flats wasn't the best kind of soil to use. So in apartheid, they shifted all the non-white people outside of all the valleys and hills and the city and move them into the Cape Flats. So you've got your northern suburbs, you've got your southern suburbs, and you have the Cape Flats area. So it was more a case of shoving poverty into poverty, shoving people away from opportunities into the same space. And what happened in the Cape Flats, your crime increased, your gangsterism increased, your access to resources, your lack of access to resources increased, your it was just a case of it was just poverty.
No.
But there's a lot of people in the Cape Flats that have worked through poverty. For instance, I grew up in the Cape Flats, and I know a lot of people that have grown out of poverty in the Cape Flats. Imtiaz, Suran, they're from the Cape Flats. A lot of even most of my team is from the Cape Flats. The taxi drivers, the owners, a lot of them are from the Cape Flats. So there's a lot of good that has come out of the Cape Flats, because what we had to do in the Cape Flats is low-key solve things for ourselves. If you had the privilege, you can travel to the city and those things, but there's a lot of people in the Cape Flats that hasn't even gone out to the mountain, that hasn't even been to Robben Island. The things that people come to Cape Town for, the reality is a lot of people in the Cape Flats hasn't experienced that luxury. So Cape Flats is not the most wealthy place in Cape Town. And Cape Town is one of the most wealthiest places in the world. So there's a very big income gap between what people come to Cape Town for, or tourists come to Cape Town for, and what exists in Cape Town. So it's not the easiest community to work in, but this community is probably the global majority. The kind of community we have in the Cape Flats is the emerging market.
Yeah.
And within the emerging market, there is ample opportunity. And that's also why I feel like I understand this market, Imtiaz understand this market. We come from this market. Can we solve in this market? And holistically, if we can solve in something like the Cape Flats, there is a lot of areas around the world that is very similar, that's very poverty-ridden, that's very cash-based, that has this kind of ecosystems that we can see we can expand to. We didn't plan part of the business to say we're solving for everybody. But we realized that the same problems people have in the Cape Flats, there's a very high chance that people are experiencing the same problems in other countries too.
That is true, yeah. So do they
Then
people
how do we start?
or do they people now envy you, or do they celebrate you, or
Look, if they envy us, it wouldn't make sense, because we're trying to give as many people opportunity as possible. Just come and join us, bro. If you are from the Cape Flats, pop us a message, see what you're doing, because we can look at how we can support your business or how we can educate you. Because I do these podcasts. Follow these podcasts if you're listening and you want to start your business. Because even with Jenna, with your stuff, you give so much good information. So don't envy us. Like, I believe in collaboration versus competition. Even if you want to start something similar to us, come work with us. There's always an example I would give when I'm talking to people and say, if there's 3 businesses and all 3 do the same thing, and 2 of them decide to work together and the one decides not to work with him, they can share resources, they can share expertise. This one eventually is going to disappear.
that is true. Yes, yeah.
So collaborate. Competition is a myth. Competition will happen at the bottom. Collaboration happens on top. So let's work together. But let me tell you how we did this. And I feel a lot of people think, you need money to make money. You need things to do things. We can't start because we're poor. We can't start because we're broke. Bro, look at what you have. Look at your networks. Look at the resources you have access to. Look at the people you have access to. Because yes, things cost money. And not everything can be for free. But there's accelerated programs. There's grant funding. There's all these things. But the first thing I will say is, before you apply to anything, understand who your customer is. Understand what problem you are trying to solve, and understand how is this going to be sustainable. Then you look at, who do I need to get this thing to work? Do I need a dev? Do I need an accountant? Do I need a social media manager? Do I need a customer experience officer? What do I need to get this going? Look at the skills you have and say, okay, this is what I can do. This is what I can go learn. This is what I can find. And sometimes we have ideas and we can look at, I would say, look at the passion you have and why you want to solve this. And and in the beginning, you don't have money to pay salaries, but you could find co-founders. You could find people that can work with you, and you might have to give some equity away in the very beginning, and let them work with the equity, because you can also have 100% of a business with nothing, or you can have 8% of a multi-billion business. So look at how you can work with people that have the same passion as you, is willing to do the work, and say, okay, look, you can pay me in equity, you can pay me in shares, you can pay me in this, or I'm going to take product, or I'm going to get paid only in 6 months time, whatever. Once you actually have an understanding of your client, your problem, your solution, and your sustainability plan, and you have the right team to work with you to get this going, then I'll say, now go apply for your grants, apply for your competitions, apply for funding. I actually have a program set up called Social Hack. So it's part of my philanthropy work. And I'll dump you the link, socialhack.co.za. If there are businesses that wants to scale, so you're making money, but I don't believe an entrepreneur must do all the work by themselves. I think you're wasting your time, you're wasting your energy, you're going to get burnout. Find experts that can do the work with you, for you. So at Social Hack, that's what we do. A business can apply. We understand what your business needs are. We then look at finding experts that can do the work, and we invest in your business with these experts to do these things. So we don't take money up front, we don't charge you, but what our job is to increase your business valuation. If your valuation does go up, then we don't actually make any money, because we make money off the shares. So we are here to make work for you. And I see that's been a very great way for us to work, because a lot of people have brilliant ideas, they have brilliant businesses, but they don't know how to do certain things that takes an expert to do. So that's why I put up Social Hack, with the 2 other really great entrepreneurs as well. So
That is
that's
really
my
cool.
I think start by looking at what you can do yourself. And sometimes it might be, okay, maybe you need money because you have to buy product. Then what can you do right now as a service to make up that money? If you need to get 50,000 and hypothetically, can I save for that? Can I find people that might be able to give me some cash for that? Can I work in another job to make up the cash to get that money that I need to pay that 50,000 for a certain machine that I need? So there's ways to do it. Just don't think that you can't.
No, there's
Plan it.
options.
Plan out what you have AI. You can say, hey, AI, I want to start a business in podcast. What kind of equipment do I need? And now give me a smart way to figure out how I can do it based on the skills that I have.
Yeah. Was there something like rather unsexy you had to do for your own business? Like something which was...
I think people make entrepreneurship seem too sexy. Running a business is not as sexy as it seems. Bottom line. Because you have a lot of work. People think, oh, be your own boss. You know, you get to leave when you want. You get to come to work when you want. Bro, be your own boss means you're going to work overtime. No one's paying you overtime. If you're female and you get pregnant, who's paying maternity leave? There's no maternity leave. You must run a business. I think that's insane. There's all these things to consider, because all the responsibilities are on you. Versus 9 to 5, if you just go work somewhere, you show up at work, you have your lunch, you clock out, you get paid whether the work gets done or not.
That is true.
When you're an entrepreneur, you have to work as hard as you can, especially in the beginning, because you're getting this thing going. And sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes you're juggling things with clients. Clients are paying late. You have staff. There's staff issues, and it's like the more people, the more problems, and it just becomes a whole lot. And I really think entrepreneurship is over glamored. Like, we make it look too good. And look, I understand we want to preserve our brand. We want to look cool on Instagram. But the real reality, I'm sure you know, it's not as easy to be an entrepreneur. It's not as easy as we make it out to be. Look, some of us might have certain skill sets that work for us. We can make it look easy. But back at the ranch, then it's like, oh, there's something breaks in the office, something, whatever happens, and you just have to do all these things. It's great to find experts to help assist and get things running. But when you are running the show as a startup,
there's always
not
something.
sexy. It's not sexy.
Did you have...
Keep our heads up, and I think the goal is just don't die. Get the business going, don't die, don't crash. But I'm also going to ask to all entrepreneurs out there, mental health is a real thing, bro. You need to also understand and not burn yourself out. What I used to do, I still do it. I have a book. I write down my tasks for the day. I have my calendar, all my meetings on my calendar. If it's not my calendar, I can't plan for it. We have to arrange when it can be done. But in my book, I write on my tasks, and I made a rule. I break the rule like almost every day, but the rule is, it's an A4 book, 1 page of tasks for the day. Sometimes I do go into 2, 3, but we can't opt for that. I just have to balance whatever work. But you need to make sure you don't do too much, because the truth is, there is tomorrow. Look at what your priorities are first, and also everything is not priority. It looks like it. You run the business, it looks like everything's priority. Everything is not priority. Look at what you need to do. Look at how does this affect my business? Is it critical, whatever? Is there people dependent on this information to do their job? Can someone else do this? Partition your time, partition your tasks to see what can I delegate? What do I need to sign off on? What do I need to do based on my skill set? Who needs this information for them to do their work? Does this bring money in for the company? But you need to set your own KPIs. You need to set your own goals, because everyone's measurement of success is different. So you need to know what do you want for your business. And if the task does not fit into what you want for your business, then maybe it's not the right task to do right now. So baby girl, don't stress. Everything is now urgent. Everything is an emergency. You're going to lose it.
True. What was the hardest for you so far? Was there something specific where you thought it was like really tough?
Doing the actual work and engaging with customers, I love it. That to me is easy peasy. The hard stuff for me, and I think this is just personally, is staff. I love my team, but there's been times where I had to fire quickly, we had to hire quickly, we had to get on board, get off boarded, whatever. And finding a good team is so freaking crucial, and it's so difficult because not everyone is here for the same reasons. Not everyone works in the same way. People come from different backgrounds. So you need to really have a very nice way to integrate people into your team. But also, before they become part of the team, explain what you get yourself into. And I think a lot of issues happen because of miscommunication or the missing expectations. Someone expects something, or I expect something, and I did not communicate my expectations. And then someone doesn't meet my expectations, but I can't blame them for it. It was me for not communicating. So that, I think, was a very challenge we quickly had to get over at Loop. Not just for Loop, even my personal life. I've got other side things, and I had to juggle people. But what we've done now is a good orientation. When someone gets into the company, whether it's interns, whether it's new people, we do an orientation where they understand everyone else's role in the company. Who do you talk to for everything? And I low-key have the case of where for a few hours, you're going to sit with the operations team to understand what their job is. You're going to sit with the finance team to understand what their day-to-day is. And we have that way, and I like that the actual team members that's currently working takes part and has the amount of time and effort to explain these things, because if you get into an organization, you're not going to work in a silo. You're not working on your own. You need to understand how important your job is and how it fits in with everyone else's job, because everyone's job is important to them. So you can't also, once you know who every department is, you can't think like, actually marketing is the most important part of this company, because if we don't market, there's no company. Yeah, but finance is also important, because if we don't have finance, not going to get paid. These are also important because if they don't build this house, nothing's going to get made. Operations is important because if they don't operate. And I know that people come in sometimes thinking that they are important, and it's fine, it's great. Feel that. But you need to understand the way it balances out with the company. So in orientation, you get to understand everybody's roles, and you get to understand where you fit in. And I think that's how we really were able to overcome the big communication issue and the big issue of how tasks are communicated. And now we're very clear. We have our Trello, we have our sheets to say who's doing what, when it's due, and we put those things up. We have our meetings every morning to understand, is there any difficulty? Do you have any challenges? What are you working on today? How can we help? And open communication works. So I would say I had a challenge with staff because I'm a problem, but we were able to solve that by working together and making a system work. Yeah, but it's not always the prettiest thing.
No, it's not. No. I mean, I always say, like, if you start a business, that's like life therapy, because whatever, like, you get reflected everything in your face. Like, you have to solve everything if there's something, as you mentioned, like not communicated or not as you have it in your vision or whatsoever. When you look back now, maybe just a couple of months or even like a bit longer, but what, like, who was that person, or who was that Jamie back then versus now? Like, what other parts did you have to let go of, or what did you have to grow into?
You're asking the real questions here.
Of course.
Let me be a bit vulnerable and say the kind of life I had before I started
Yes.
working with. So I used to run my own consultancy company,
Mm-hmm.
and let me say it like this without making people upset. But I literally used to work only when I needed money. When
Why?
I had a team, I had some good people working with me, but when a client came and said, okay, we need some consulting, and I'm like, okay, sure, this is the schedule. And I'll just
Yeah.
book the people in according to when I wanted to work.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was in business validation.
Yeah.
So people came to me first to understand what works or doesn't work. And I think I've been doing design thinking before designing became a thing. Like I was
Mm.
part of the GSB was still at Waterfront before they got their nice new building at UCT. I was part of that design thinking.
Oh,
And
well.
the work was, and then literally was just a case of, okay, I'm gonna just work because I need extra cash or whatever. And I used to just live.
Mm.
Now I think I'm a bit more responsible when it comes to money.
Mm-hmm.
But because the team is so big, we have like over 50 people working at
Mm.
Loop. I can't just say, oh, I'm not gonna take a client today because I don't feel like it. I
Yeah.
have to. There's now so much dependence on me. And I think this has grown I hope it's grown me as a leader. It's
Mm.
grown skills in how I manage people and manage things, and also how I work with clients. Because now I need to just bring as many clients in as possible and just partition it accordingly, not according to how I feel. Because maybe I'm gonna sorry to say, I call myself lazy, but maybe I was lazy. And
Or
not that
maybe
I think
not
there's
good.
anything wrong with being
Maybe I
lazy.
was. Yeah.
I just think that laziness makes you find the quickest way to get things done. And I think that's the benefit of being lazy. But
Yeah.
my laziness, I can't be lazy anymore now. I need to be
Mm-mm.
more with when I want to be lazy. So I
Yeah.
can't get like I want to get off. I can't just leave tasks or whatever because now there's people depending on me.
Yeah.
So that I think was a big change in my life. Yeah.
And how was it for example, now, I mean, you mentioned that you're actually moving quite a lot of money and like being responsible for so much money. Like how is your relationship to money now? Has it changed, or like, I mean, probably your
So my colleague, I'm gonna laugh. I'm laughing because literally yesterday, my colleague was up to help me with my finances, so she checks on my bank statements and stuff. And she
yeah.
literally said yesterday, bro, you're like the Jeff Bezos of Cape Town, the way you spend money. And I don't mean to. I wish I was. It's not intentional. It's just that I don't like spending money. Truth is,
Yeah.
across the business, I try
Yeah.
to find the most affordable way. I try to find partners. But it turns out in my personal life, because I asked her like, hey, why is the bank account money looking so little? And then she went to go look and she's like, nah, it's all you, bro. It's personal stuff. It's nothing that the business is doing, or you're not spending money on the business. You're just splurging. So I think maybe, but I also feel it's what I've worked for. It's one of my personal goals is I want
Mm.
to be able to live my life where I don't look at how much money is in my account. You're
Yeah.
growing up younger, you have to like look at, "Okay, I only have like this much. When I go out tonight, I can only buy 2 drinks. I can only buy this meal." I
Yes.
don't want that space. I want to just do what I want. I'm
Yeah.
getting there. I still
Yeah.
have to curb myself, because I am maybe overspending. Sister also tells me, something that my dad told my sister. My sister's
Yeah.
now telling me, "Don't so eccentric. You don't have to be fancy." Something I still need to learn. But my solution is, if I don't have enough money, just go work more and just go
Mm.
find more money. And
Mm.
I'm doing that, I guess, because I'm setting up not just Loop, other avenues of income. And I think it's quite important for entrepreneurs. Once you have your main baby going and your main baby's on its feet, what else are you doing? And
Mm.
partition your time very smartly, 70%, 20%, 10%. Look at what you're doing right now. What's your main income right now? 20%
Yeah.
to look at what's your next side hustle. What's your next step you're doing? And take 10% of your time to learn a new skill that you might be interested in. So I'm looking at, I literally spoke today and I asked my colleague to look at, are there any cool courses that I can do in AI? That's because, AI's been around for a while now. And I feel like I learned about it in the beginning when it was a big hype, but
Yes.
things have changed in a year. So I just asked, just check, is there any cool courses on what's new in AI? And I'm thinking I'm going to spend time learning these things. I'm part of the Google Accelerator course. It's taken up a lot of time,
Yes.
but there's other things. Then I've got my side businesses that I have where I'm also scaling up and putting team members in place of those side businesses. You can't just, with this economy, you can't just have one stream of income. So That's the main thing now that I'm doing. I think I'm managing things fairly well. I feel like we can all say we need more money, but it's just a case of what do we want to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But would you say you cut back on lifestyle, especially in the beginning phase? So you were like, oh no, I need to put that now into the business?
Bro, when Loop started, Imtiaz came to me. We said, okay, let's do it. I think people will be shocked if my team members, okay, we've told them already what happened in the beginning, but we were earning nothing for like 6 months. We're
Yes.
not taking any salary. All the money went to the business. Imtiaz was doing a driving school. I was consulting on the side. I didn't have time to consult, but I was finance consult because I knew this is going to work.
Yes.
I was the one that did the research to prove ease is viable. And I showed Imtiaz, this is what we're going to do. It's viable to do. And I'm willing to spend the time and invest in the time to make it work.
Yeah.
In the beginning, for like 6 months, we had no money. We then got some friends and family. Lydia Zingoni, teen entrepreneur, shout out to her. Zulfik, Isaac, shout out to him. There's some people that really supported us in the beginning. And we were a small team of like 5 in the beginning.
Yeah.
It was Imtiaz, it was Uran, it was another Jason, it was me. Sometimes, yes, yeah, Imtiaz's brother was helping us as well. And then on the side, Caitlin, another work with me with my company, was helping out too. Imtiaz and I, we earned 3,000 Rand a month when we started Loop as our full-time income, which is
How do you
that's less.
pay Yeah. How did you pay your bills then?
Yeah, the other things the team jokes to say I dance for money because I have to go find ways to make money. But that was my salary at Loop for the rest of the year for 6 more months. Look, from getting a North Rand to now saying we have to do this full time to get the 3,000 Rand was a lot. From North Rand to 3,000 was a lot.
Yeah.
It was at the time to say this is all this company can afford to pay us.
Yeah.
I and Imtiaz agreed we have to be frugal, and I would rather take a salary cut and put the money that we're getting back into the business. Because if I want to take now 100,000 salary, what's happening to the business? The business needs that money. I'd rather wait the long game and increase valuation, get more clients, use the funding for dev work, for brand work, and we did a damn good job at branding. Like for us to spend as little money as we can, we got branding out. We did radio interviews, TV interviews. We still in the news every single month. We at least on a newspaper, on an article, on a podcast. There's at least maybe 2 or 3. So we doing this, and it doesn't cost us much to do it. We've become experts in certain fields that people ask us, can you come talk at an event? Can you assist in this thing? Can you come tell us on radio?
Yeah.
So this happens. Then there's also all our other accolades that pushes us. I'm Africa 40 under 40. I'm global 40 under 40, which is huge awards. I'm the ambassador of Cape Town. It's a big deal. And I network and use those networks to boost my company, to boost the people around me, because that's like, as an ambassador now, it's my job to showcase innovation. So I feel it's business as usual at Loop. I'm bringing investors into the country, into Cape Town. I'm making more jobs in Cape Town. We're about to onboard, I think, 10 more intern devs. I think 32, but we're keeping 10.
Yeah.
But it'll be like need to coming through for the orientation and those things. So there's this partnership we create where we can, how do we reduce our costs? And I want to also give a big shout out to Innovation City. They were the first people to house us. We didn't pay rent for our office spaces. They listened to what we were doing. We entered a competition with Innovation City. We won. We were top 10 as Cape Town Startup Innovation Vibes. And they gave us office space. So find these opportunities. Innovation was fantastic to us. And I feel like it would have been very difficult for us in the beginning to do all the full-time work, because low-key, when we started, we were working at the coffee shops. We were sitting in hotels, going to coffee shops, and our rent was a cup of coffee every day. And we would sit there, and the people started knowing us already, because that's how we were working. We used boardrooms at Bootleggers. We were using coffee shops at that time. It was still called Radisson Blue. It's now called Pullman's. That's what we did. We didn't have to spend thousands of cash on rent. We just found space with Wi-Fi and we worked. Yeah.
So how is that for you, for example, now going to the corporates, also like from your background from the Cape Flats, and then kind of like talking with these guys there? Like, did you still experience some kind of an imposter, or like were you already quite confident?
I don't think I get imposter syndrome talking to customers
No.
because main thing is I come in and I say, I'm not coming here to impress you. I'm coming here to understand your needs. So I don't get imposter syndrome because the roles are flipped now. I need to come in there not thinking I'm the best thing in the world. I'm giving you the best service. I'm coming in and just understand, can I fulfill your needs? So I come into the first engagement will be, what
Yeah.
are your current problems? So
Yeah.
I can see, is there a fit between what your needs are and what my company provides? If there isn't, hearties, that's the word we use in the Cape Flats. It's not going to work. Hearties. But
Oh,
most of the
yeah.
time, we
Yeah.
find a way to make it work. We chat to a client, and also I'm not going to waste anyone's time by setting up meetings if I know this is not the client I want to serve.
Yeah.
But I need to understand, how am I going to serve this client, and that's what the client must tell me. I might know I want the client, I might not
Yeah.
know how yet, but I need to understand from your side, what can you tell me about the problems you're facing for me to be able to solve it? And that cuts imposter syndrome away completely. You're not going to feel scared sitting in a boardroom. You're not going to feel, because all you're doing is research, bro. You're just trying to find out what those people's needs are. You're not
True.
trying to look at this. You're not trying to come in a suit and whatever. I'm just here to work. And I
That's
think that
amazing.
to me, I don't even think I'm an imposter and sitting in those big boardrooms with these people. We meeting, like we had Chislin, the CEO of Time Bank in our office. We had these big people that CEOs of freaking huge big companies, and I don't feel inferior. I feel proud. I feel like these are great people and they want to speak to me. They want to come
Yeah.
speak to my company.
Yeah.
How can I serve them? So flip
Yeah.
the script of imposter syndrome.
Wow, that's very good advice, because a lot of founders, they actually face that imposter syndrome, or putting on a mask, to pretend to be someone they're not, just for survival reasons in a way. But
It's so much
being on,
effort
yes,
to
it's a
wear
lot
that
of it.
mask.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
So, and I think a big thing I want to say, authenticity wins. Because if you're your authentic self and the person can't work with you,
yeah,
rather show your authentic self today than take them on as a client and down the line you have problems. Because now you can't work together.
yeah,
And it's okay to fire your clients. It's okay. You might need the cash, whatever, but if you work with the right kind of clients, you're not going to be in those kind of issues.
yeah,
Don't act on desperation. Don't make decisions on desperation. And I feel like there's a three ways of thinking that I've learned. There's your survival way of thinking, there's
yeah.
your emotional way of thinking, and there's your executive way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And these two ways of thinking has a very different kind of impact. If you act on survival, it's
Yeah,
fast, it's erratic, it's kill or be killed. If you act in emotion when a problem comes to you, it's not always the best solution, but the most emotional solution because of how you're feeling. If you
yeah,
think executively, you think what is best, not for me, but what
mm,
is best for all of us as a company, as partners, what's the win-win situation? So when you're
yeah,
faced with something difficult, maybe just stop first and think, how am I thinking? Am I in
mm.
survival mode? Am I in emotional mode? Or am I thinking like an executive? And that's how you can solve which clients you should have, not have, who you should work with and not work with. But that's my 2 cents there when it comes to dealing with clients and dealing with problems.
How did you get to that? Like, did someone teach you that, or did you realize, oh shit, like you took decisions out of the survival mode, and
There's a
it kept.
lot of influence that has shaped me. So I talk to a lot of people, I engage a lot, I watch a lot of reels on Instagram. That's where I get my news. And there's things that I mold to what I need.
Mm-hmm.
The 70-20 thing, the 70-20-10 rule, I've taken that and I've copy paste and adapt is the
Yeah.
term I'm using. And even copy paste and adapt, I learned from another course that I was on to say, look at what's out there in the world and copy paste and adapt. Because even if I look at certain things, people think, oh, I can't copy, I can't steal. Take what you want, baby girl, because you need to make it for you. If
Yes.
Steve Jobs said, I'm not going to make a cell phone, we already have Samsung, BlackBerry. Bro, he did it and he made it better.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
don't be worried to get inspired by other people's businesses. What I also look at, there's a mentality I use. I'm a last born.
Mm.
And what I like about being a last born
Out of
is
many.
that
Out of many.
at everyone else's mistakes and everyone else's successes and be like, I like that. I like how you did that. I'm going to do that. Look at how they failed. Like, okay, that didn't work for you. I'm not going to do that for me.
Okay.
The same thing can happen in business. You look at people doing similar work to what you're doing, and you can say what worked for them, what didn't work for them. And you'll be surprised how open people will be if you even just ask them. You can go to people and say, hey, I see you doing podcasts. What worked for you? What didn't work for you? How
Mm.
can I want to start the podcast. What do you think I should do? Get that insight.
Mm.
Take informed decisions. Like
Yeah.
there's no need to care about it. And I'm saying this to you because that's how I've developed myself. I
Mm.
went out and asked questions. Doesn't cost much. Some people are helpful. Some people keep secrets. Some people don't give away the recipes. Some people do. Because they hit and miss. Most of the time people tell me what's up. But you can still take what they tell you and see, how am I going to apply this to my life? How am I going to apply this to my business? So
Yeah.
it's really still up to you. And sometimes opportunities are right in front of you. And it's a case of identifying the opportunity based on what you want. Be clear and intentional of what your needs are and what you want. And if you
Mm.
know what you want, things just seem to fall into place because then you start identifying your opportunities even clearer.
Put your focus on that, not on. Yeah, true. Was there like a hard truth you had to learn about entrepreneurship? Like something no one really warned you before you kind of ended up being
I'm
a
going to
founder?
say this is actually all I know. I've always been an entrepreneur. Primary
Okay.
school, high school, I
Yes.
ran a shop out of my locker at high school. I started selling things when I was in university. I was hustling the entire time.
Yeah.
And I've never had, I want to say, a real job. I've never had a CV. I make CVs when people ask me for a CV. Like, I actually don't have a CV, but I can tell you what I've done. I've never really applied for a job.
Yes.
So all I know is entrepreneurship. And
Mm.
other people's lives are a bit different. Other people do different things. My hair
Yeah.
is going crazy over here too. But I can't say no one told me it's good or bad.
Yeah.
Because even when I was younger, I thought be your own boss was great,
Mm.
perception wise. But what got me into it wasn't because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I got
Mm.
into it because it was natural for me. I enjoyed making my own money. I enjoyed solving problems. I enjoyed figuring things out and doing those things. My studies was not in entrepreneurship. I studied biotech. I'm a scientist.
Go
Well,
on.
I studied a few other things afterwards. I studied biotech. I studied philanthropy. I studied supply chain management, and I'm keep learning. But what my take is, no one told me how good or bad entrepreneurship is going to be. I just did it because there was things I could see that I could solve, and I could make money out of it. And I think what really made me get serious in entrepreneurship was when my father passed away. My father passed away when I was grade 11, and I didn't want to be a financial burden on the family because my mom wasn't working. I was living with my mom and my dad. My brother was there. I've got two sisters. They left the home. They married and have their own families to deal with.
Yeah.
And I just realized I don't have to come and ask for money because I knew at the time my father was the only one working. So
Mm.
where's the money going to come from? I can't expect people to serve me. I have to
Mm.
look at what can I do. And I,
Yeah.
I sometimes see this sometimes where people often forget that they have skills, they have abilities, they have authority, they have power. You don't have to
Yeah.
say, government needs to give me this, or this person owes me this, or this person must do this for me. Bro, what can you do? And that's what I mean. I thought, okay, I maybe can't start a multi-billion business right now, but I started doing retail, started
Mm.
buying and selling. I started providing services where I can look at what else I can do. Then I went from retail, I realized how money works,
Mm.
supply and demand. Then
Yeah.
I went into services, which I think I love because all I'm doing now is selling my brain. I just
Yeah.
talk. And my ideas is my IP, where it's easier because my cost
Mm.
is just my learnings and my experience. Whereas if I started doing and then selling, I have to have stock and I have to move the stock.
Yes.
But as I got into consulting, that's
Mm.
when I started making more money, real money, because there was value in my voice. There was value in what I knew. People paid me because I knew things they didn't know. And they wanted the information I had. And that's what got me more into entrepreneurship because I realized, hey, I can live off this. I
Mm.
don't have to
Yeah.
be a financial burden on anybody. I don't have to say government owes me a grant or don't have to say because I'm poor, you must give me money. I don't have to beg because I don't have to find sympathy and say, my father passed away, my mother's unemployed, please give me money. I had to look at myself and say, what can I do?
Yeah.
And I think that
Take
was a
charge
change
of
in
that.
me. And it wasn't because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. It was a
Mm.
case of because I knew what I wanted in life and this was my way of getting there.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So what would you say maybe amongst founders, like what should they talk more about, or what do you think is like important to bring more awareness into that space? Something
Be
that's
honest, bro. Be authentic, because someone is sitting there judging themselves, looking at you saying, how does Jenna have it so easy? How does
mm,
Jamie have it so easy? What is wrong with me that I can't succeed as much as them? The
yes.
thing is, I'm not telling you what's going on in my life. So I think also from a case of founders, be more vulnerable and be
Mm,
more willing to share what's really going on. And I think we're doing a very big injustice to future founders when we keep making it look like, look at me on holiday in Seychelles. Look at me. I'm like, in my case, I'm going to London again for Tech Week. I'm going to for the Google Accelerator program. It looks glamorous, but it's a lot of work to get there. So
of course.
for other founders that are starting up, don't look at your admirers and think, why, how come Elon Musk can do all those things and I can't? Bro, you
Mm,
can. He's not
yes.
telling you all the stuff that's going on
Yeah.
behind the scenes. And
Yeah.
I think maybe as founders, be more open, be more vulnerable, be more willing to share. And sometimes we might need the right platform to share. Maybe we
Mm,
need to get a place where we're comfortable to share, but
yeah.
that might be it for us. And for founders, you can do it. You can.
True. Yeah.
Stand it up, you can do it.
Is there something people think of you, but actually you experience it in a different way? Just to share some vulnerability.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is that? Like what do people think of you, but actually it feels different?
What people think of me,
Mm,
I don't know what people think. Maybe I don't know if I should put out a survey night. Hey, what do you think of me? I don't mind. There's also this theory that I think is really great, is the let them theory.
what is that about?
So just let them, whatever
Mm,
they think, let them, because you're the main character in your story and they're
yeah.
the main character in theirs. And let them think what they want to think. Let them believe what they want to believe, as long as you know what you're doing. And that I'm saying is in the good or the bad way. You don't have
Yeah.
to involve other people's problems or engage with what people think of you. You know the truth. You know what's going on in your life, and you can act on those things. I started writing a book as well. Maybe when it launches, we can do something there. But it's
Love
really
it.
about mindset and how
Yes.
capable you are and what you're able to do. And
Yeah.
I call it change your mind, because I realized there's a big issue in how we think. We
Mm,
have imposter syndrome. We
yeah.
have procrastination issues. We
Mm,
have issues around why we can and why we can't, because society has boxed us, because our environment has boxed us. I shared
mm,
a story a while ago, 22 on Sloan, the really great hubbles, these little huddles that they have. And I spoke about your experience in your environment. If
yes.
you spend a day at the fish shop, you're going to walk out there smiling like fish. If you spend a day in the
Yeah.
perfume shop,
Yeah.
you're going to, even if you don't spray any perfume on you, you're going to smell like perfume.
That's true.
The analogy there is, unfortunately, your environment is going to influence you. I come from the Cape Flats. I speak like I come from the Cape Flats. I have thoughts like a Cape Flats person, because my environment has shaped me to believe
Mm,
certain things, to eat certain things, to think what is right and what is wrong, because that's what my environment dictates.
yeah.
But I'm going to say this. You are not a snook. So you don't have to come out smiling like a snook and thinking that you're a fish. You can still decide for yourself, who am I and who do I
Yeah.
want to be?
Yeah.
That is where our power comes in. That
Mm,
yes, I could have been in the fish shop the entire day and smelled like fish. Yes, I could have been in the perfume shop the entire day and smelled like perfume. But I still decide at the end of the day how I want to smell. I can go take a shower. I can go learn certain things. I can do certain things. I can become certain things. I can move my space. I can change my environment. But
mm,
I decide at the end of the day who I want to be.
yeah.
And even though our society puts parameters in place for us, we can decide, what parameters do I really want? Who made this rule? Who said I can't? Who made this glass ceiling? And realize the ceiling was never there. You can still be and do what you want to do.
Mm,
There's a story I mentioned in the book about a little experiment that was done with fleas. Scientists put some fleas in a container with a short lid, with a low lid, and the fleas
no.
jump.
Mm,
And the fleas eventually stopped jumping as high because they would hit the ceiling.
mm,
They moved the ceiling, and
mm,
the fleas still jumped only as high as what they thought the ceiling was. And
no.
the same with us. We
Yeah.
in spaces where there's no opportunities, We get into spaces with opportunities. We don't even see the opportunities because we still believe the ceiling is here. But bro, there was never, ever a ceiling.
Wow.
You can go and do as much and as whatever you want because we keep thinking, can't achieve because of who I am. I can't achieve because of my background. I can't achieve because of my environment.
No.
Who cares? You telling yourself those nonsense.
Sure.
It never existed. Do what you want.
Yes. I love that mindset. It's all about like what you think and where you put your focus on. Yeah, big one. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Jamie. We're coming to an end here. Maybe the last question, how can the community help you? Like what support could be helpful for you, for Luke?
Well, since you put it out there, I'm looking for more clients. So I'm looking
Okay.
for corporates in the BPO sector, people that need transport. We have a huge access to 15,000 taxis in the Western Cape. So we can give you the service where it's more affordable. We have built-in insurance for your passengers.
Yeah.
Have a great system that's working. We have notifications via WhatsApp. So if anyone has a call center or access to a call center and you want to onboard or just try us for a small campaign, get in touch with me, get in touch with Loop. You can mail us. You can find us on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on email. You can share my details, via email. People to engage.
WhatsApp?
Number one.
Yes.
Look, WhatsApp's a bit tricky because I'm not always on my phone. So email is the best way to get a hold of me. You
Got
can
it.
follow me on Instagram. You can follow us on LinkedIn and our journey on LinkedIn as Loop. But that's the one thing I'm going to mention. It is corporate that needs soft mobility services. Next thing is, if there are people that have markets or vendors that don't want to pay bank charges and don't like waiting for their money. If you are a supplier and you want to get into the ecosystem, if you are working in a cash-based business and you want access to finance, you can onboard us into your system. If you have people that you want to disperse funds to using WhatsApp, it's such a freaking simple process. You know what? I'm going to give all your viewers a link to get a free 10 Rand to use on our system.
That would be
I'm going to be
cool.
Oprah today. I know 10 is not a lot, but you probably have a lot of viewers. I had to calculate there that I'll give all of you guys a 10 Rand
Yeah, they
to
can reach out.
try
Yeah,
out the Loop payment system. It's all on WhatsApp. I'll give you the link. You can share it with your viewers.
that would be cool. Wow, no, amazing work, honestly, and also your personal journey to get there and the mindset. I think a lot of people can take and learn from that mindset and to just like walk their own path and be authentic and honest, as you said. Thank you so
Thanks so
much,
much.
Jamie. I will put everything in the show notes. Yes. All right.
And if people are keen to jump on board, to want to work with us, if they have services, if they have fleets, if they have skills and expertise, and they think this could be a good company to partner with, by all
Yeah.
means, whether it's for Loop, in my personal capacity, if you need a speaker at an event, if you want to showcase your innovation, if you want to get assistance for your business, feel free to contact me. I think what I'm going to do, Jenna, is dump a bunch of links for you. Social
Yes.
Loop, my email address, and if you have the link for the link for your viewers to get free money on the Loop system, I'll share it with you.
Awesome. Perfect. Please do that. I will share it and also post it in some groups. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much, Jamie.
Thanks for listening. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.